going deeper today on this would be very interesting.
Mm, right. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. It sounds like, you took the action that you committed to and you had the conversations, and it didn't go the way that you had hoped, being from that, coming from this place of creation, but you felt more like kind of pulled back to kind of lower energy. Um, but yeah, I mean, you took the action. I think that's definitely something to, acknowledge yourself for. And through the process, you learn something, about yourself, right? That maybe there's something deeper that needs to be brought to the surface and, transformed. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's actually a great kind of learning opportunity. Yeah, actually, it leads really well to what I was hoping to cover today in today's session, which is actually we call a Gremlin Transformation. Yeah, like you said, something came up, some energy or some kind of voice or some memory, something that kind of had you feel like kind of paralyzed in that moment. Um, and the Gremlin is basically this kind of voice that has us play small in life or kind of live life in if we want to relate it to the energy levels, live life and kind of the lower realms of energy, kind of play it safe, play it in a place that we're comfortable. Um, and you know it's something that we all dealing with. We all have gremlins in our life. It's yeah, this session is all about like being able to come to greater awareness of these gremlins and how to um, transform them in a way that they can be more supportive and more leading us towards where we actually want to get to. Yeah, I just want to say, I think you're exactly where you need to be. Nothing's wrong, and um, yeah, we can just keep going deeper. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, sounds perfect. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Yeah, why don't we just jump right in? There's kind of a process of this gremlin transformation. Um, but yeah, again, big part of this is about kind of understanding what is that message, what is that voice that we're hearing. Sometimes we're not hearing it like consciously. Sometimes and often I would say it's something that's more going on in the background. A lot of times the things that are going on in the background are what is kind of influencing our sense of what's happening in reality. There's a saying that says context is decisive. What's going on in the context? There's the content, what's happening, but then there's like the context of everything that's happening in the background. And a lot of times our gremlins are kind of left in the background and we're not aware of what's going on. Um, but they're impacting us in what's going on in the foreground, in the content of our life. If you've ever had an experience where you're just maybe relating with somebody, and then all of a sudden you start to feel kind of disempowered, right? You don't know why exactly you're feeling disempowered, maybe in the moment, but you're just kind of feeling this kind of sense of, oh, I'm not feeling good right now. You feel sad or depressed or stuck. Um, uh, example is like, sometimes I'll be listening to somebody and, what they're sharing is so inspiring and so great. But for whatever reason, I'm feeling like all these doubts come up and these insecurities come up. Um, Even though, the content is great, but what's going on in the context of my mind is, you know, putting that content into a certain kind of meaning to me, right? Like maybe, like a lot of times for me, it's like I'll start comparing myself to somebody that I'm like, oh wow, they're sharing this amazing message. It's so great, and oh, I'm not good enough. I could never do that. That's like the voice that's going on in the background. And even though again, what they're saying is inspiring, their message is amazing, their presence is amazing, but to me, what's I'm left with is, oh, I'm not good enough. I'll never be that good. I can never be someone like that, because there is, this kind of underlying message that's going on in my mind. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And interesting that you say that. I realized I really felt like already last week, I kind of what the breakthrough was already just more consciousness about certain things that I was not conscious of. And just noticing that, not knowing necessarily what to do about it, but just noticing it really in the moment. Wow, there's something going on here
Mhm.
that I was
Right.
completely unaware of. So yeah, I
Mhm.
can really relate to what you're sharing.
Right, right.
Mm,
It's kind of taking something that was in the background and bringing it to the foreground.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, like I mentioned, we're going to go through a process. So I'm just going to ask you some questions and just see what comes up and kind of unravel this onion, go deeper into the layers through these questions. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, first question that I want to ask you is what are some kind of core fears or reoccurring fears that come up in your life?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, what's coming up again and again, and as I mentioned already since the beginning of the coaching, is like this fear of not being able to fulfill my mission in a harmonious way, in a balanced way that with other important aspects of my life. You know, being able to take care of my family, provide for them as well. I feel like that's definitely something that comes up again. It's like yeah. Mm.
So not being able to fulfill your mission in a harmonious way. Um, and yeah, it sounds like more plainly, it's like not being able to provide or to take care of your family. Um, and why is that a fear for you? What what would that mean if you couldn't provide for your family?
Mm. Yeah, I feel like uh, I would be like missing the point because the mission I feel called to is a mission of creating world peace through harmonious families. And so if I'm not able to do that in the process, also myself, a harmonious family, then there wouldn't be any meaning, and I would feel like I would be trying to kind of win the world while losing my soul in a certain way, where winning the world wouldn't mean winning the world from a material point of view, but more like fulfilling a certain mission. And losing my soul wouldn't be like my own, just not only my own soul, but my family's soul in a certain way. Like yeah. Mm.
Hmm. So what that would mean to you is that this, you know, it would kind of take the meaning out of the mission that you're trying to fulfill, because a big part of that is, creating these peaceful, harmonious families. And um, you feel like you'd kind of be sacrificing um, your own family and your own kind of this thing that's very important to you for the sake of kind of a mission or creating some kind of external result. Um, what does that mean about you? Like I get that that's kind of means something about the mission and what you're doing, but what does it mean about you um, as a human being, as a person, as a I don't know, as a father, as a person with a mission,
Yeah, I mean, it
being
means that I care. I mean, I care about the world, but I also care about my family. I really care. Um, I really kind of mean it. Yeah, I don't want to just talk about it, but I really want to embody what I've been taught and brought up with. Um, yeah. Mm.
Mm, right. And what would it mean? Like, what would it mean about you if you couldn't do that? I mean, if because that's kind of the fear is that of being
Okay.
able to do that, right? So, um, yeah.
Yeah, something like I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to fulfill this ideal. I'm not, yeah. Mm.
Mm, okay, got it. So I'm not good enough. Um, yeah, typically, the message of the gremlin is it's pretty simple. It's something that like a 5-year-old could understand and could say, right? Um, so when you feel this fear of not being able to fulfill your mission in this harmonious way, being able to take care of your family, um, the message of the gremlin is I'm not good enough. That's the message that comes out. How does that land for you?
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's like kind of feel like, yeah, my that what is determines whether I'm good enough or not, yeah, to be able to do that or not, yeah. Mm.
Mm,
That's what's going on inside me, yeah. Mm.
mm, mm, mm. Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, so when think about your life and recently, and when are times when this gremlin, this message shows up of I'm not good enough?
Yeah, I think mostly when either, yeah, I think the three things that come to my mind, yeah, it's when I fail to contribute as much as I want, or when I fail to be present for my family as much as I want, and when I fail to be able to provide financially material for my family. These are kind of the three things that come to my mind. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. So it shows up when you fail to contribute as much as you want, or fail to be present with your family, or fail to provide financially for your family. You aren't able to buy something, or you feel limited what you can what you can give to them.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Yeah, I appreciate your honesty, Raphael. Um, so I want to ask you to go to look back a little bit, or a lot, look back, to think about the first time that you can remember this gremlin showing up, this feeling of I'm not good enough, or this fear of not being able to maybe take care of others, or um, when's the first time you can think of? It doesn't have to be the first time, but when's the first time you could remember that this thought of I'm not good enough came up for you?
Yeah, I mean, the first the kind of thing that comes to my mind is like about 8 years ago, having a very honest conversation with my wife, and kind of yeah, when I was like working. It was a period of time where I was working really hard and not being able to spend so much time with family, and I realized I was kind of it was kind of like a wake up call that I was like not only not being able there for my family, but also not being able there for myself. Like I was burning out and things like this. And I remember having a this conversation with my wife, and I would see her cry, and yeah, I remember there was a moment where I really felt like yeah, okay, that kind of I was failing. Mm.
Hmm. Got it. So you mentioned 8 years ago, sharing honestly with your wife, and yeah, just feeling burnt out, feeling like you weren't spending enough time with your family, and so seeing your wife cry, um, and yeah, feeling like you weren't good enough at that time. So what we want to do is the next step in this whole process is to actually just give that gremlin a name. And reason why we do that is um, it's kind of the way to take dominion or take ownership over something. It's just kind of like when you first get a pet. First thing that you do to kind of become the owner of that pet is you give it a name, right? Sparky or Johnny or whatever you want to give that name to that dog becomes your pet, right? Um, so this gremlin that kind of comes up saying, I'm not good enough. Um, what would you like to call this gremlin?
Mm. Yeah, what comes to our mind is like this. I don't know how to actually say in English, but this in French it's lutin. It's like this Santa Claus help us. This small Santa Claus help us. What's their name? I don't know.
We call them elves.
Huh?
Elf, an elf.
Elf?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I will keep the French name lutin. So it's like a small lutin. But not such a nice one. Yeah, but more like a sneaky one that kind of whispers disempowering stuff into your ear.
Got it.
But
So
discreetly. Nobody knows about it. Nobody. They're so small. They're so
mm,
small. They're so discreet that it's yeah. That even I don't even notice that they are saying that.
mm,
Um,
right.
Nobody notices. It's just yeah. Mm.
Mm. So you said luta, like Luta?
Lutin in French. You spell it Lutin. But it's
Lutin.
it's it's
I'll keep the pronunciation for you. You can handle that. Got it. Okay, so this is the name of your gremlin. Um, so what we want to do next is, uh, you want to go back to that moment where you're feeling like burnt out. You're feeling, this um, this sadness and this message of, I'm not good enough, feeling like you're a failure, and um, want to look at that younger self and standing in from this position of someone who is older, wiser. um even think about it like coming from a parental heart or coming from God's heart. What is what is some truth that you'd like to share with this younger self who's going through this challenging time?
Yeah. The truth I can share with this younger self is that I'm actually learning. I'm learning, and the different experiences I have, and this experience of seeing where a certain road can bring my family to, my relationship to, my wife to, is not exactly uh, the right road. There might be some adjustments that needs to be done, and doesn't mean I'm on the wrong way. I'm just learning to adjust constantly to a better way in trying to fulfill my mission harmoniously.
Mm. Yeah, so it sounds like what you want to say is that um that you're just learning. You're learning from these experiences, and you're learning to take the different paths, and which way is the right way and which way maybe isn't, and how to adjust to get closer to the vision that you have for your life and for others. um So yeah, that's great. I mean, how does that feel? Just kind of saying that to your younger self.
Yeah, I mean, feels much better. It seems that much less like a failure, but more like something that I kind of need to go through to learn. Yeah.
Mm. Right. Yeah. Awesome.
And I actually got there by trying actually already what I was trying to do, but just um yeah, not necessarily knowing how to do it well. At that,
Mm.
I mean, how to do better at that time. Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. Right. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So the next part of this process, and just two more parts. Next one is actually just to acknowledge and appreciate the Gremlin for what they were trying to do. Because the thing about the Gremlin is that Gremlin is not there to harm you or to actually not trying to ruin your life, but it's actually there to um, protect us. Something that the Gremlin is trying to protect us. Um, the only thing is that the Gremlin is coming from a very like immature mentality about life. It's like very young and immature and doesn't know the truth of life, like the truth that you just shared. Um, so yeah, take a moment just to thank your Gremlin and acknowledge what do you think your Gremlin was trying to protect you from.
Yeah, I guess Gremlin is really trying to protect me from putting out completely um, and continuing to live an imbalanced life. Um,
Mm, yeah, so trying to protect you from burning out and living an imbalanced life and to maybe try to avoid that. The Gremlin saying, "Oh, wait, wait, you're not good enough." So that's a little dangerous. Don't go there. Um,
yeah, yeah, I can notice it right now that whenever I have certain ideas or projects that come up, uh, there's some fear to launch that project, and most likely it's coming from that place. Yeah, to protect me from, because maybe in the past when I committed to certain visions or projects or work, um, it went down that road, and so yeah, it seems like Gremlin is trying to prevent me from going down that road to
mm,
protect me, but it's
right,
of course blocking me at the same time to fulfill my purpose. Yeah.
mm, right, right. Yeah. Um, so yeah, take a moment, if you want to just close your eyes and um, just in your heart, just say thank you, appreciate your Gremlin for trying to protect you.
Yeah, merci Lutin.
Awesome. All right. So the last step in this process is, now that you're clear on the truth and clear on the Gremlin's message and also why the Gremlin was trying to give you this message. Now it's time to educate your Gremlin, to allow your Gremlin to fulfill its original purpose, which was actually to support you in your life. Um, so what would be something that you'd like your Gremlin to remind you of, or call this kind of like a support cheer, like you got like a instead of a little Gremlin telling you that you're not good enough, you know, transform it into more like a a cheerleader cheering you on. What's a message that you want your Gremlin to remind you of when you're feeling this fear or feeling this difficulty.
Interesting. Something it's interesting because um my monthly theme is progress beats perfect, and so it seems like it's something there. It's about celebrating progress. It's about celebrating learning instead of focusing on failure, on not being good enough. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, I like that. So you want to go with that?
Yeah, something like I'm continuously making progress. So if
Hmm.
I'm not good enough, a bit like how I was viewing the actions I took and how it went last week. I could have seen it just from the point of view that it didn't go as well as I wanted to,
Hmm.
from what I could see as what potentially could happen. Actually, I realized that just taking the actions and learning from the experience just helps me to make progress.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I feel like being more connected to that mindset and energy in the moment of where I'm doing things, yeah, just will help me a lot to reconnect that in the moment where I feel like I'm not good enough or I'm failing, reminding me that actually I'm continuously making progress and that all my failures in the past were just actually lessons and experience that helped me to make progress, helped me to do what I'm doing today. And the journey continues. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, just take a moment. Again, if you want to just close your eyes and just have a conversation, with your gremlin and just telling them, from now on, please just remind me that I'm continuously making progress.
Yeah. So Lieutenant, please, whenever it gets difficult, please remind that I'm continuously making progress. Not only continuously, I'm actually exponentially making progress. And every time I make progress, the lesson helps even to make even more progress than before. Yeah. Mm.
So how does that feel?
Yeah. Sounds I feel like the I'm continuously making progress. It's easier to kind of it's like an easier clothes to put on already right now.
Mm,
But I'm sensing that I'm exponentially making progress actually would be even more empowering.
mm.
Just sensing if I'm already there to kind of put it on. Maybe it's too much of a dramatic change from I'm not good enough. um, yeah.
It's funny. Huh, interesting. So it sounds like you feel good about I'm continually making progress, but the thought of exponentially making progress is like exciting, and at the same time you're like wondering if you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Got it.
Yeah. It's more like I can see it. I can see myself being in that place, and I can see that this truth can be very empowering. But I feel like like yeah, if I would be pushing it too much right now, I would actually maybe it would make the old message louder to kind of balance it out in a certain way.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'll stick to continuously at the moment, but giving myself the space and freedom to move into exponentially whenever I feel ready.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah. Gremlin can constantly evolve, and you can keep teaching it as you grow yourself, right?
Yeah, the Gremlin can continuously make progress as well,
Right. Exactly. That's great.
but not just today.
Right, right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay. Well, thank you, Raphael, for just being, so honest and being willing to, go with that process of your Gremlin transformation. Um, and yeah, with that, we always want to end our sessions with just any, yeah, if you have any like actions that you'd like to take